That's it. That's my intro, Matt Venuto. How you
What's
like
going
that?
on, man?
What's
How we
going
doing?
on? Yeah, so that was the first time I'd played that little 30-second intro clip. We're gonna find us a good intro.
Yeah,
We're gonna find us some more great guests.
that was
And
pretty cool. That was kind of like Pat McAfee's show, dude. We're getting fancy over here now.
oh yeah. So we'll keep adding a little lipstick to the pig, as they say, and keep improving this product that we have. So happy that you joined us out there in LinkedIn land to have another great discussion with a couple of facility managers and my friend here, Matt Venuto. We've talked to sales folks, we've talked to facility managers. Matt, just this past week, we talked to a project manager, a general contractor at the top of the AC Marriott Hotel. What did you think of that experience?
Oh, that was great. We had somebody come in and film it professionally. Hopefully that information is going to cast soon to everybody that's watching us. It's going to give them a little bit different feel into the construction industry, which we've dabbled in a little bit. We haven't really had a construction person on, so they'll get to see that and definitely get to see it from a different angle.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, and one of the fun things about this, and we've got some people like, hey, where are you guys going? What's the direction? And what I tell people, and Matt, we've talked about it, we're just kind of following our energy, and sometimes being creative, being on the fly. It's kind of like this manufacturing masterminds is a sandbox. I used to love playing in the sandbox when I was younger. It's just four boards that separate the rest of the ground. You've got some sand in there, but you can use your imagination, you can use your creativity, and then you can invite people in to play along, right? And
Oh,
and
yeah.
to kind of enjoy talking about the same types of things, and with all the great social media tools that are out there, it's just really I'm grateful to have such things where we can have these types of discussions, right, Matt?
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to today's casting. A couple
Absolutely. Yeah.
really strong facility managers going to get on and talk.
Yeah, so just in a few minutes here, we're going to have two facility managers with great experience, with great attitudes, and all the things that we really look to when so Matt and I, we call on facility managers on a daily basis. And I think it's great to talk to these folks, to get to know them, to understand their side of the desk, you might say, and to understand what they go through on a daily basis, and to learn more. Matt, I will have to say that I listened in on the ING meeting this past week, and and it's very similar to the way that we run those ING meetings. Is very similar to what we do here. That was one of your first times I'd heard you run the meeting, but you did a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I wasn't as nervous as I was the first time.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of interruptions last time kind of threw me off my game. Now I can see how hard it is to actually host a meeting without you in the room.
Well, sometimes, like I say, the way that we like to do it in our Spartanburg chapter, talking to each individual person, giving each person a chance to kind of give their perspective, and to hear from them. So from a hosting standpoint, it really kind of keeps you on your toes. But I thought you knocked it out, man. I mean, like from this one to this next one, it was a big jump. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, like they say, you're probably your own worst critic. Got to be a little bit easier on myself, but yeah, I mean,
Hey.
you and Lindsay did a good job, so I must have done something right,
Yeah, you did, definitely. Hey, so we're 5 minutes, or coming on 5 minutes, and I wanted to give everybody a chance to get in. We're going to get into it. We're going to introduce who we're going to be talking with today, and again, it's a roundtable discussion. So what we want is comments from folks. We want everybody contributing to this conversation. If a topic comes up and you have a question, please put it in the comments. We will address it, and say hello. Let us know who's listening. If you're out there and you don't have a question, let us know that you're there. So first, Trent McJunkin is going to be our first guest. And Matt, you remember talking to Trent. That was our first Manufacturing Masterminds episode. What was it that you thought about when you finished interviewing Trent? What came to mind as far as the type of person that Trent is, and that sort of thing, the way he approaches his job? How about that?
Yeah, Trent is known for being a pretty inclusive leader, getting a lot of input from people like ourselves, getting input from the team, uh, just a wealth of knowledge for, not necessarily being a facility manager for a long time. I think he was in maintenance.
Hmm.
But he's kind of doing it the new school, old school way, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him at IFMA meetings. I've seen him speaking here, and he's doing the Facilathon. And so we're talking about someone that is really looking to improve, looking to have a great facility, and I love his attitude. Welcome back, Trent McJunkin.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Doing great.
Good.
How about you, Trent?
Doing fantastic.
Good. And now some people might say, you guys are doing this again on a Saturday morning, but you and I, we've talked at 10 o'clock at night. We've talked at 8 o'clock in the morning. Why is it that we like doing stuff like this?
Well, during the week, I mean, we're all very wide open, getting all these things done on all the different sides of facility management. But we do this on Saturday because it's fun. We enjoy talking about what we talk about here and learning what we can. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. If you enjoy what you do, Saturday isn't really a work day.
That no doubt about it. People say, "What do you do for fun?" I'm like, "You're seeing it. This is it." But it is. It's amazing. Sometimes on Saturdays, or sometimes I call a facility manager, and it's like after hours. Everybody can be a little closer to their real self, right? And so that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about: breaking down walls. I mean, Trent, even you and I, as you know, I've called on you, and I've been the guy behind the glass, you might say. But as we've gotten to know each other, the relationship changes. You get to know people more. The walls come down, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, hey, Trent, thanks for coming on. And now we have our next facility manager, well experienced, 30 years. 30 years he's been doing this. And now, Matt Venuto, what would you like to say about Mike? You know Mike a little better than I do. Anything that we should know about Mike before we start asking him questions?
I mean, a little bit different than Trent. Lots of experience in automotive business. Just a wealth of knowledge and a good guy. Anybody willing to come on here and share their insights with that much knowledge.
Amen to that. Absolutely.
Got to have it, man. So we got a little bit of the new school. We got a little bit of the old school. This is
I love it. We're going to have a great conversation. Mike, welcome to the Manufacturing Masterminds.
Morning. How y'all doing?
Doing good. Now, hey, it looks like you might be working on this Saturday morning as well.
Yeah, I'm having to work today.
Okay. And now you're not local to South Carolina. We're some South Carolina guys. You're not in state, are you?
No, sir. I'm in Alabama.
Gotcha. Now, Mike, you have been in facility management though for quite some time, haven't you?
I've been in facility management for quite some time. I did maintenance management. I did production management. I did about the whole gamut.
Okay, so touched a little bit of each of those hats. And now let me ask you this. I've talked to a lot of different facilities, and it's like each facility, the facility manager will have a different scope. Like, so sometimes he might be working on machines, other times he may not be. So I would like to hear currently what's in your scope and maybe why sometimes that scope kind of changes from facility to facility.
A lot of it just depends on the facility, right? And what you do. Like, I'm responsible for the facilities end of it for everything to do with the building. I'm also responsible for wastewater. I'm responsible for our fabrication shop. I'm responsible for other things as well. So I run the whole gamut.
Gotcha.
Bosses, I'm responsible from fence to fence.
Gotcha. Fence to fence. And so that means you're also handling vendor contracts. Do you?
Yep.
Gotcha. And now, Trent, let me ask you the same question. When we talk about what is under your kind of umbrella of responsibility, can you give us an idea of what all that includes?
Yeah, that could be anything from contracted services like HVAC or janitorial or landscaping, even to equipment maintenance that keeps production running, as well as any kind of event planning or office construction, renovations, a little bit of everything like Mike was saying.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so, Mike, through the years, you've been doing a lot of different roles. is there any particular role or company that you can think of through the years where you really liked that position, or is there any particular company or situation that you like better than others?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it's a lot of it depends on your boss, right? Who's over you, and
Yeah.
they are. That's plays a big role. How they treat you, and I look at that as well as how do I treat folks that work for me. The better I make their jobs, the easier I make their jobs, the better they're going to work for me, the more they're going to enjoy their job. So, but what I'm doing now, I really enjoy. I get to spread out, and I'm always on the move and constantly doing something different. This is probably the longest I've sat in my office all week. So,
Yes.
that,
Staying active. So you did touch on one of the things that I wanted to talk about here. The first point I had was building great teams, and you made a point there. There's a hierarchy within every facility. Somebody's got a boss. That person probably got a boss. And then that person might be over 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 20 people. So there's this hierarchy. And you talked about working for the right boss. Tell me, let's talk about what an ideal employee, if somebody's working for you, an ideal employee is, and then let's talk about what an ideal leader looks like in your eyes. Anybody want to take that one? Matt, you got any thoughts on that before these guys chime in on what makes a good leader, what makes a good boss in your eyes?
The way we're structured at work, we're pretty decentralized, which is nice. There's not a lot of oversight. Everybody, like ownership said when they hired me, and they really believe this, like we hire very professional people that know what they're doing, and let them do their jobs. If we have to constantly ask people what to do or tell them how to do their jobs, it's kind of pointless, to be honest with you. So, I like that, the fact that they're on board with that. I know every organization's not run that way, but that's kind of the environment I like working in. Yeah.
And I from a sales standpoint, I like, I have the Energy Bus by John Gordon. I don't know if you guys have read that or not, but it's got 10 rules for this bus, and it's everything from attitude. It's a lot of attitude stuff and mindset stuff. But if you have a bus and everybody says, yeah, I want to get on this bus, and this is the kind of the rules of the bus, then it becomes a great way of getting everybody committed to the mindset that we want to have on this team. And Trent, I know that you talked a little bit about that the first time. And when you're talking to people and when you're hiring folks, tell us a little bit about what you're looking for when you're talking to a prospect or someone that you might hire to be on your team.
So you were talking about the Energy Bus. Just like in that book, it's important to have the right people in the right seats, and you have to know what type of person do you want in that seat. So your role as the leader is going to be, you have to know the way, and you have to go the way, and you have to show the way. Casting forth that vision and then breaking down that vision into behaviors for people on your team to execute. And then whenever you're looking for all these right people to go into these right seats, you have to say, all right, what are the behaviors that they need to exemplify? And then what are the skill sets that I need that I personally don't have or the team doesn't have? Character and attitude trump everything. So if you've got somebody, if you need an HVAC person, I want them to be passionate about HVAC, excel in HVAC. I want them to have great customer service skills. If 90% of their day they're working with equipment, they need to know who their customer is. And just like the facilities team needs to know who their customer is and how to meet those expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that. You're looking for these qualities and you kind of reverse engineer it. When you're looking for somebody, that whether you're looking for the company you want to work with or you're working for a relationship, no matter what type of relationship it is, you got to know what you're looking for. And what Trent's saying is, hey, I need somebody that's got this, this, and this. Now I'm interviewing this person to find out if they fit that criteria. Right. Love that. Okay, Mike, what do you look for? Can you talk a little bit about what comes to mind as you hear us talking?
One of the big things I look for, and I'll be honest with you, is many years I've been doing this, and I've had good bosses, bad bosses, and everybody has, and I've had good employees and bad employees. And Matt's heard me say this before. I've never fired anybody. They always self-terminated. What I look for is years ago, I used to look for this, and that I don't, being, attitude's great. You got to have a great attitude. You got to have a good work ethic. You got to come to work. That's the biggest thing in this day and age. You can't hardly get anybody to come to work anymore. If you get those three things, I can teach you anything else. Then that's the way I look at it. Be trainable and come to work, have a passion. And the thing I don't do is I don't micromanage. If you can't handle it yourself and come to me when you got problems, once I train you how to do something, then why not need you? I got to constantly got to go tell you what to do. I don't. That's just me.
Would you? So you would rather somebody, if they make a mistake and they were trying to not go to Mike and just trying to learn more, is that better than coming to Mike? Is that kind of the way you like to look at it?
If they make a mistake, I mean, we all going to make mistakes, right? If you don't try to figure it out yourself, and then if you can't figure it out, come to me. Don't every 2 minutes be calling me, hey, what do I need to do here? I ain't got time for that. I got too many things I got to manage. I mean, I'm managing a 1.5 million square foot piece of property and 6 employees.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a lot. 60 employees and 500,000 square feet. Is that what you said?
1.5 million.
Whoa. Yeah. So that's
1.5 million under roof.
There's a lot going on.
Daniel, can you give us the calculation for employees per square foot on that?
Employees per square foot?
We got 1,700 people, so I'll let you do the math. How's that?
Right.
Yeah. I don't have a calculator handy, but I do want to go back. Mike mentioned a couple of things. Be trainable, which kind of is a nice fit with what Trent's saying. Hey, you got a good attitude. We can train you. If you show up for work and then, and have a good attitude, then we're going to get things done. And I think that can be said on both sides. So one of the things I wanted to do is we kind of keep going here. It really doesn't change either side. Vendors, suppliers, companies in general need employees that show up. They need people with good attitudes. And so that was one of the things as I sat here and thought about this conversation. It's really the same, the things that you guys need to do internally, it's good for everybody. So appreciate that information. So self-terminating. You ever I've never heard that before. Matt, have you ever known somebody to self-terminate?
Yeah, I've been in there when people have self-terminated themselves. They know the expectations going in. They know, who their boss is, what job they're signing up for. I think when you're interviewing for a sales job, it's always good to ask what the expectations are, right? And what your actual job duties are, because those are the expectations they're going to want you to get done. It's not like you're going to get hired and say, well, that's not my job scope. That's not what I'm saying. But yes, definitively, you should find out from your boss what your job duties are and what the expectations are, because then you're not going to self-terminate yourself. You'll end up self-promoting yourself.
There you go. And this idea of self-terminating, the person has quit on themselves, they've quit on the job, they quit on something, and so they're fulfilling what's already kind of there. They quit on something. They're no longer on the bus. They're no longer have bought into what we're trying to do as an organization and as a team within that organization. So thinking about great teams and building great teams. Now we have to come together. So let's just say that it's a well-oiled machine on both sides, right? You've got a good vendor, you've got a company that knows what they want and need from a supplier, a vendor standpoint. And I want to talk about how you find those right vendors and maybe stories of how you make a team now using outside people, right? Both of you guys have hired and probably had some that self-terminated, right? Vendors. And I'd love to hear about what makes a great vendor and also about maybe some of the things about what makes a bad vendor, and we've all got ideas of, there's a lot of finger pointing going on. No, it's never anybody's fault when a relationship breaks up, you get fired from an organization. Yeah, we're going to use somebody else this year. Well, those guys, they didn't know what they were doing from the beginning, and then the other side, they're saying the same thing. So I want to talk about and communicate about how we find great vendors and how we find great companies to work for. Trent, do you want to tackle that one first and see where you can take us?
Sure. One thing that I look for is a good reputation in the area. If it's somebody who's, with me being in South Carolina, if they've done great things in Tennessee, but they don't have a presence in South Carolina, I'm not really sure if we want to be the first guinea pig with them.
Yeah.
Somebody that has a good rapport, good reputation for doing quality work. And we definitely want somebody that we can trust. If I bring somebody in, say janitorial, I want them to be the subject matter expert on all things janitorial and can help me get to where we want to be as far as a clean, safe, healthy facility. I want them to run that piece of the business like it's their own, because since we contract that out, they need to be as passionate about it as we are.
Yeah, you look for that passion, and I love that, and so that's one of the things that you look for in a vendor. They got to believe in their product. It's got to be a great product, but they got to also believe in that great product, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
And I know some of the folks that you have talked to about janitorial. I know some of the Internet of Things that you have talked about, and keeping track with what. So let's talk about that. Some of the new technology that janitorial and maybe some of these companies that you're talking about, if they're passionate about it, man, they're on the cutting edge of how to get things done more efficiently, et cetera. Right, Trent?
Right. There's a fine line with adopting technology. If it's too new, it may not be proven. So if you're using something, some AI or some Internet of Things or any kind of technology that's new, you want to make sure that it's vetted and it has proven that it's going to do what they say it's going to do. On the janitorial side, you can hire a great cleaner and they can be the hardest working cleaner you have, but everything boils down to systems and processes. If you don't have good systems and processes, a bad system beats a good person every day.
Yeah.
Man,
that's funny that you bring that up, because I've been talking to someone. He builds sales systems for salespeople, similar to what you can be a great salesperson and not have a system. And right, Matt? And I'm guilty of that as myself. I mean, I might have a lot of energy and I enjoy the doing, but you need a system to get that consistency to really, now you have a machine that's going to produce results, right? So the same is true for us. I mean, you got to have a system, you got to have an energy to run that system. Mike, what do you think about having systems and some of the things we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a big thing, is you got to have that system and processes, to make it work and to drive your PM systems. So janitorial is kind of like real low on my scope, because I have a really good team that does that.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing is the HVAC in a facility this big, and especially if we got 1,700 people. If it's hot or cold, you'll know about it real quick.
Yes.
And I have to deal with compressors, electricity, the whole 9 yards. And when I'm looking for a supplier, a lot of times what I've dealt with in the past is I have a supplier that's really great. And then all of a sudden, you talk about teams. Every time something changes in a team, there's three things to a team. There's storeman, Norman, and foreman. Every time a person changes in that team, no matter where you're at, go back to storeman. You've got to get back together. And
yeah,
I've had really great companies, and then the contact person or the point of contact person changes, and it goes from a really great company to a really crappy company, and in a matter of overnight. And I've had people tell me, "Oh man, they're garbage. They I had no problems with them." Really, they've been the best company I've ever dealt with. So I
hear that all the time. It amazes me.
When I look at a reputation, but I also look at that reputation and when you're dealing with vendors, it's a team. You're working as a team. Any part of that team can be bad. It can be on my side, and cause that have a bad relationship. I got a problem now that I took over from the guy that was the manager before me, and I had to take over this area. And one of the best vendors in the area, what he says, they're garbage. But now I'm having to rebuild that relationship, right? And they're not that bad of a team. It was just he had a problem with one guy.
Well, and that you're getting onto something that I did want to touch on. So, and man, I'm sure you hear it all the time too. I'm going into a situation and this is something I've started doing. I went into a situation this past week. They were firing the incumbent, and I have to ask the question, well, can I ask what happened? Right? I mean, you want to know what happened because I don't want to make the same mistake.
Right.
And then, you kind of dig in and you realize, well, this kind of demonization that occurs, it's really over this one thing. And usually it's a miscommunication, and it splinters, and it becomes this subjective but all encompassing, okay, this company is bad now,
Right.
And I can no longer, the way that I like to do it is I like to say, hey, you know what? I can see why that happened. Here's what we tried to do, but we may find ourselves in this same situation. And I loved what you said, actually, Mike. You're talking about that handoff. Whoever has sold that account is kind of the contact person. And sometimes if that person that really needs that account to keep, to be there for somebody, whoever he hands it off to, that needs to be a very, hey, this is Mike. He is our contact. He's going to call you when things go sideways. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
I mean, that right there probably is the most important part of like an ongoing and retaining these relationships. It always starts out good because the salesperson is just going on the communication side of it. Probably. Right, Guy? I mean, have y'all seen that? Is that accurate, you think, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing with me, as big as we are, we're 24/7. Like I always tell them, if that phone rings at 4 a.m., you better be answering. I don't care if it's Friday night or Saturday night. If you ain't doing it, I'll find somebody else that will answer that phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And now, if you're interviewing a vendor, do you let them know the expectations that you may be doing that?
Yeah, up front, tell them, look, we're 24/7. If you can't support that, I need to find somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, do you think
vendors you ain't got to worry about that with? But what I have to deal with, majority of my vendors have to be available 24/7.
Yeah. Now I know when Trent, I know when you guys are at full tilt and you guys are rocking and rolling, there's going to be a little bit more pressure on some of these folks to perform because, hey, when I get yelled at, now I get the call like Mike was talking about when somebody's not comfortable, right? The secretary's hide or somebody's hide or something like that, you can get the call. But when the process starts breaking down, boy, then you're really you get a lot of phone calls. How do you handle that sort of thing, Trent?
Yeah, well, I mean, with that, you have the opportunity as you're ramping up to build out those good systems and processes and build that rapport. But you need to be constantly communicating before you get there. Hey, whenever I call you, I need to know what your ETA is. Mm-hmm. And that's it. I need to know when you're going to be at the plant so I can update everybody. Hey, help's on the way. They're going to be here at this time. And then we have a plan to get things rolling again.
You wouldn't rather somebody tell you, I'll be there in 20 minutes when they know that they're going to be there in 45?
At 20 minutes, I'm going to be standing on the sidewalk looking for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's 20, but it needs to be 20 or less.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Mike? Would you rather tell me the truth or tell me what I want to hear?
You better be telling me the truth.
Yeah.
It's simple. You can't be here for an hour and a half. That's fine. Just tell me you can't be here for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm going to be here in 45 minutes, and that's not true. Give me the truth. I'd rather take one to the head than one to the gut.
Yeah.
I think too, before there's a problem, I used to be a vendor of Mike's. Before there's a problem, you better call your contact and let them know, hey, we might have a little service breakdown here. They would rather know in advance so they can, decide whether they're going to alert their boss or at least know that something could happen so they can tell the people on site to try to adjust possibly production for a problem.
Be proactive.
Yes.
You know, put yourself in the other person's shoes and realize, and that is what, you know, I try to make up for the lack of HVAC technical know-how by being the person, whatever the message is, give me the message, I will deliver the message, you know, because the message has to be delivered. And someone, because if anything, when relationships break up, I don't care if it's a marriage or a romantic relationship, a friend or a business relationship, communication breaks down and it's over. You know, if Trent or Mike is pissed off and they don't have a chance to talk to somebody about it, that is going to fester and your account is going to be gone before you know it. I mean, I've seen it happen many times, and I'm sure that's y'all have been there, right? Mike, in 30 years, have you seen vendors self-terminate?
Oh yeah, many of them. Matt's been in a boardroom with me before. It can be quite fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were in a situation where we had a mishap in transportation on the metal recycling, and it caused them to slow production down to the point that they kind of had like a pile up in the basement. So it was myself and some senior leadership at the company I was at, and it was their senior leadership, and Mike told them that the next time this happens, that, you know, they're not going to stop a hiccup, what they call blocking the sensors in the trucks, which would allow the metal recycling to spill over everywhere, which is a total nightmare for a metal recycler. But if you're constantly falling down in service, it's not their job to bail you out, you know, 5 times in 5 months, right? It's one thing to have it happen maybe once a year or once every few years, but all the time, people sometimes have to learn the lesson, the live lesson, right? Which is this is going to cost you a lot of money to clean this up and continue to service the plant.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, there's tough situations that are going to come up, and there's tough meetings that have to be had, right? And sometimes you don't know whose fault it is, and they're not necessarily the best. But if you want to save the relationship, and that's what I try to do. Once you start seeing things falling apart, what do you have to do? You get everybody. It's just like we're starting over, you know. Let's get everybody together. Let's come back in. Hey, is this something that we need to continue? Is this the right thing for everyone? Are we back on the same page? What do you guys think of that? When you see a vendor starting to self-terminate, is there anything that can be done at that point?
I think you have to immediately jump in and try to right the ship. I mean, whatever kind of communication you have to do, it is okay to get on the horn with everybody and say, I need all the people at my facility on this day, and we're going to review everything until we get things fixed.
Yeah.
Let them know this is the expectation. The current state is unacceptable, and here's where I want us to be by this date.
Yeah, I like that. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you get them in here and don't feed me a bunch of bull, you know. And the situation Matt's talking about, his upper management was feeding me a bunch of bull, and I knew it. And I was sitting there with our upper management. I turned and looked at them and said, I've heard enough. You know, this is what I'm going to do. The next time it happens, it's going to be your thing. It's going to be your problem, not mine. Yeah. And I got up and walked out. Senior management looked at him and said, well, he sets the expectations, and they walked out. So, plain and simple, you're a service to me. I don't have to have you. I can go with somebody else. Always remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, and don't feed me a bunch of crap in the boardroom with you big bosses when I know it's crap, because I'm going to call you out on it, and I'm not going to hold back. And,
no, you do not strike me as somebody that has held back ever, Mike.
We were a little long-winded in that meeting. A lot of tap dancing going on. We could have been avoided. And Mike just was like, you guys are full of shit. This is what's going to happen next time. And I know exactly, you know, like I said, it's more the nuclear option to do something like that. but you definitely get somebody's attention when you tell them
And
what
sometimes
you told us in that boardroom.
hey, let me
Yeah.
ask you this: did it fix the problem, or did it break
Oh
down?
yeah,
Never
yeah.
had
The service was pristine because we knew, and we knew what we had to do too was something that we don't like to do. Put metal recycling on the ground outside the plant, but in close proximity to the plant so that we can get the trailers back to the plant. Because it costs more money, but I'd much rather put the metal in somebody's yard at a trucking depot as opposed to it piling up outside the plant. That is the end all do all of the metal recycling business, and it gets people's attention and stuff, environmental safety, all that. Like I said, but they're dealing with it underneath in the tunnels and stuff. If you don't deal with it outside, you're dealing with the underside, and it's extremely hard to get it fixed then.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So getting to that, having that meeting of the minds and having good vendors. And the reason why is we want to have you guys, you want your day to run smoothly. I'm sure a facility manager, you want the facility to look great and you want the processes to take care of themselves. If you had a mission statement, what would it be about your facility and how you want your day to go? You're going to have problems, right? You're going to have problems. You're going to have things coming up, but we're working towards what is our goal and what we're trying to do with these systems so that things run smoothly. Mike, I'm going to let you start this time.
I would say, I'm on the mission statement. My mission statement is supply a solution. Don't add to the problem.
Supply a solution. Don't add to the problem. I like that.
Supply as a supplier the solution.
Yes.
Don't add to the problem.
Yeah, you don't need more problems, and I think that's a very simple one statement. You don't want to get in the way of things working. And so I'm going to come back to you. We're going to talk a little bit of HVAC, but first I want to hear Trent's mission statement.
Yeah, I think for us, we want to be excellent. We want to be the best in the world, and we want to have vendors that will grow with us. And we want to have team members on our team, and we put them in opportunities to help them grow and help them become as good and as talented as they can be, so they can also be excellent, so that we're not having to put out fires and be reactive every day, so that we can kind of get into a groove and things be somewhat normal and manageable whenever we are at full force production. Nobody likes to come in and just fight fires for however long your shift is. So you want to have those structures in place. So you want everybody going towards the same goal.
Yeah, and I know from past conversations, you want your people to grow, and both of you guys, I think this is a good time to mention, both of you guys are involved in getting the younger generation involved in the trades and working up. And Trent, I know you work with the folks over at Facilithon. Can you tell us a little bit about Facilithon and what that does?
Yeah, so Facilithon is a Skills USA competition, and that tests a student's ability to thrive in a facility management environment. And they do it through 3 parts. There's a 50-question common sense quiz and a 10-minute facility manager role play. And then comes the FM challenge. And that's an emergency scenario that the student has to react to. Actually happening in South Carolina for the South Carolina Facilithon at the Skills USA competition on March 28th this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That sounds like such a cool thing, and I look forward to being a part of that as a volunteer, and hopefully get to meet a lot of facility managers too while I'm there, Trent.
Definitely. If anybody wants to know more, just check out fmpipeline.org, and I'm sure there's something going on in your state where you can get involved as well. And
Mike, you are also involved in something similar in your area, are you not?
Yes, sir. I'm actually the president of the board of directors for Skills USA Alabama.
Gotcha.
I actually run 2 contests at our state competition. I run a mechatronics test and I run a robotics test competition as well.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
about 60 kids compete in the 2 contests. There'll be 1,700 kids at our state competition competing. And then I tell you, it'd be something cool if y'all go see. In May, they do the Skills USA competition in Atlanta, which ain't far from y'all. There's probably 20,000 kids there competing. We take the whole conference center there. It's something amazing to see. Just everything you can think of from a skills trade standpoint. It's amazing what these kids do.
Oh, I bet some of those kids doing robotics and things like that. I bet
it's everything. It's everything from cosmetology to welding to cooking. You name it, they're doing it. Anything that they can do in a community college to learn a skill or a high school. It's amazing what these kids do, and it's really cool organization to be a part of. We supported it and hired a ton of kids out of that end of our skills and apprenticeship programs and stuff.
Well, I think that's amazing that both of you guys are involved with organizations like that, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, I try to encourage my son, man, learn a trade, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, there's so many people trying to be entrepreneurs, right, with all the social media stuff. But I'm like, learn a trade and start an HVAC company. Start, go change filters for people. Just be a filter change company. I mean, but there's a lot, of course, that can be done. This next question, this is a great segue. So Cody Steiner does the same thing that I do. He is in the HVAC world. He says, as a facility manager, what change would you want to see from the other side of the desk? What could potential vendors, contractors do to stand out? And I'm going to throw this one at Mike, because Mike, when I heard you got all this square footage and you said your biggest fault was HVAC, that all the bells start going off. So I know you're not in my territory, but let's just say that you were. And I want to try to gain proximity to Mike, and I want to talk to him about his HVAC. You probably have someone now that you're using, and they're probably doing fantastically. What can I do to get on your radar and to be your plan B?
The biggest thing from HVAC standpoint to me, how do I tread lightly here?
Don't tread lightly.
Don't tread lightly, please.
Yeah.
Be honest.
We need the truth, Mike.
People need honesty here.
There's a lot of HVAC folks out there who are out to just try to mess you up. They will do jobs, and you'll constantly call them back. Tell me make sure you get the right people here first to begin with, and make sure we troubleshoot it properly. What I'm doing now with my HVAC people, I actually contract them. I have 2 people on site, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 52 weeks out of the year.
Wow. Okay. They come from outside companies.
They're an outside contractor. Work with my. I have a younger HVAC guy that we're kind of training. He just finished school a year ago.
Got it.
We're building him up. He's kind of the apprentice, but they do all my PMs. They do all my filter changes. They do all my repairs. When you're doing your PMs, do it properly, and make sure that hey, look, I see an issue going on with this. I've been looking at it for the last 12 months. I think we need to go ahead and get ahead of the game here and get this exchanged, repaired, replaced.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with 75-ton units to 125-ton units.
Woo.
All the way down to 10, 5, and 10-ton units. So,
yeah,
125-ton unit, I got to get a helicopter fly it off the roof. So, you better be taking care of it, right? If there's something going on with it, and some of my units are almost 30 years old, but they're still running because we're taking care of them. Some of them are not. I replaced 10 units last year. 75-ton units.
So there's a whole lot of to go on here. I mean, and now let me ask you this. I've got 100 questions, but I want to ask you this one. How do you decide when you want to get rid of these older units from an efficiency standpoint? What is your thoughts on that, right?
Well, the biggest thing that I look at, it's so costly to replace a unit like that. I mean, you're talking a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I have to be I'm actually looking at right now what units I'm going to replace next year. And I'm basing that off of, okay, what's the history of the unit? What problems we have? Does it keep repeating these problems? Or did it just get just constantly stuff failing in it? And it's just, okay, it's time to cut. It's time to quit wasting money on this, right?
Yes. No. I'm totally with you. And we could go down that HVAC rabbit hole. And so this this is
don't mean-
time to bring up, but so next week we're going to be talking a lot more about HVAC. So we may have several different discussions, and then each week we're going to dive deep into some of these topics. But Trent, I'd like to talk to you. You've got a situation where you guys are ramping up production. There's a lot of going on. You've had a lot of vendors calling you, and it's a well-known facility in the area and that sort of thing. So can you tell us about finding right vendors and what has worked and not worked from a sales standpoint, maybe, or anything that comes to mind with this topic?
So I've got a little bit of probably a unique way of going about it. I think facility managers would definitely agree here. The business development side is great, but I want to know, how's the relationship going to be with the service manager or the account manager, and how skilled are these techs? The people that I'm going to see every day, every week, every quarter, how often they're at the facility. I want to know that, hey, when they're on site, I can trust that they're going to do the right thing and they're going to take care of that equipment like it's theirs. The business development person is going to be at another site doing another thing with another company. So, service manager, account manager, whatever that title is,
Yeah.
I want to know, hey, they know what they're talking about and they can get the job done.
And you just hit on it, and it's something that we've been thinking about. The players, your team is actually your technicians, your service technicians, right, Matt? I mean, those are your guys that are actually playing the game. They're doing the repairs. They're on the field really playing the game. Everybody else is kind of, the office folks are the coordinators and things of this nature. So it is vitally important for your technicians and for your service people to do what, like Trent said. I completely agree with you. And of course, I'm the tip of the spear. I'm looking for opportunities. I'm looking to create relationships. But I know that when we turn that over, it comes down to the technicians playing the game. Right? I mean, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, it boils down. I can have a great service manager, but the technicians are garbage. What good's a great service manager?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I got to have too many conversations with him, then there's a problem,
Yeah, exactly. My goal is to have less conversations with you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my goal. One of my pet peeves, you can ask Matt this, don't call me going, hey, let's go to lunch. I don't want to go to lunch with you. I ain't you're not going to buy my trust by taking me to lunch. I go.
I love that you said that, though. Because
I go to lunch with very, very few sales guys. What I tell them, I tell you what, once you roll by here in the morning and bring biscuits for the guys. If you want to do something, do that for them. Gain their trust.
Now that being said, so I'm going to give a little bit of pushback. If we were to get you to lunch from a salesperson standpoint, there was one guy that I was trying to talk to, and we were trying to get the deal. He finally went out to lunch with us, and we got the deal. So how hard should we push for that extra proximity, Mike?
Every person's different, right? I'm one of them ones. Don't bother me with that. Okay,
Yeah, I'm with you.
You can ask. That's fine. And Matt will tell you. He asked me for years, hey man, let's go to dinner night. No, I told you I'm not going. I tell you what, Matt, and Matt can attest this. When you go to Outback night and look around, you see a family out there that looks like that this is the best meal they're going to have for a month. Pay for their meal and you'll make me happier.
Oh wow! Well, there you go. Hey, you know what? I like that kind of paying it forward attitude, but you did eventually kind of form a relationship with Matt, and you got to be more friends.
Yeah.
And how does that work? And is that a good thing? I mean, we're not looking for friends. We're looking for business associates. But what are your thoughts on it?
I agree. And the one thing that I do, I want to build a relationship, and I want it to be a business relationship, but not necessarily, a personal relationship. I've got personal relationships with multiple salespeople. Now, it doesn't have a bit of effect on the business side of it because I'll flat out tell them when it's all said and done, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
You're way too high. Come on, dude. Really, you trying to mess me over?
Yeah.
But I had a personal relationship with Matt. They didn't start out that way. We kind of grew into that. I've got a couple other salesmen that, I've got a personal relationship with, very few. Here I've got maybe 2 or 3 that I've got a personal relationship with, but it's because of the business and they've treated me right. And they're there for me when I call at 2:00 in the morning. And I respect that. And I don't go to lunch with them. It's just something I do. I'll go to lunch once in a blue moon with them.
Well, it sounds like you take your job serious, and so one of the things that you appreciate about others is when they need to take their job serious too if they want to be working with you. Trent, anything that comes to mind on that? And then we have a comment I want to bring up.
Yeah, just to kind of echo what Mike was saying. You don't win the business with a hamburger or a line card. Everybody has a line card. It tells me the 100 things that you guys do. I want to know what problem are you going to solve for me.
Man,
you're going to answer that phone when I call you.
Oh, we're gonna have some good clips out of this little segment here. Yeah, don't bring me a hamburger. Hamburger's not gonna get the deal, and neither is a line card. I have talked. At the end of the day, we can put a lot of things on marketing material. Have y'all ever gone out into the lobby and seen this stack of marketing material like this? It's like this thick, and I'm like, nobody in this stack of papers is going to sell anything. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I've got to bring this up. So Lee, new member of the Spartanburg ING, great guy. How do construction upfits and expansions fit into the scope of work of facility manager professionals? Great job on the session. Love the transparency on the need for team cohesion, a predictable process that honest communication and trust is a must. No fluff. Love it. Thank you, Lee. How do construction upfits and expansions fit into the work? So let's say, Mike, through the years, you've worked at this facility. There's a need for an expansion. The role of the facility manager in those meetings, and I know that depending on the situation, do you have any experience when that sort of thing was coming up?
Oh yeah, I've got right now 3 expansions I'm looking at that may go through, may not. We'll see depending on if we get certain work or whatever. We got 2 for sure that's going to happen. Biggest thing is I have a project manager that deals with that scope of work, and I work with him. And whenever we get ready to go to meetings and stuff, he fills me in on everything that's going in before we hit the meeting. That way, I know what he's gonna if he's dropping any bombs. Because in this business, we'll drop a bomb or 2.
Yeah,
yeah, guys, this is not going to cost what y'all thought.
Yeah,
but,
dropping a sticker shock bomb.
Yeah, but I mean that's. For me, I have to deal with expansions, and we're constantly changing office spaces. All right, let's move this out. We're going to move this department here. We're going to change this office space just to kind of keep everything freshened up. So I deal with that quite a bit, and that's one of the things that I have to do for my scope of work. And it can be challenging at times, especially this time of year, you're getting so much rain, right? You got to expand. I got an expansion going on right now. It's now been pushed. It's 3 weeks behind because of rain.
So let me ask you this: on some of these expansions, you're looking for. So I guess the general contractor, you might have a few general contractors depending on that scope that you call. And then what sorts of things are you looking for from that general contractor that is going to help you make the decision or recommend that person for that project?
The biggest thing I look for is tell me the truth. Don't beat around the bush. Don't try to hide. Don't try to hide it when something's going to cost more. Hey, look, we're looking at this, and we're probably going to have to make a change. And that change is going to add to the cost. Be upfront with me on that, so I can go to my bosses and go, hey, all right, guys, this is what we're going to have to do. It is what it is. We didn't see it when we first put this in. Unfortunately, it's going to cost more. And I also like them when they go, hey, look, I can get this done cheaper if you'll let me do it this way.
Yeah.
Right. And, that's
value engineering, right? They call that.
And that's what I look for from a general contractor. If you're showing me, hey, I can save us some money here, but I'm going to have to spend a little more here. Great. That's the guy I'm looking for. And the people we use are that way. And
yes.
sometimes
I'm so glad you said that.
you know, they may be a little bit more in the beginning when we're looking at the budget. But you know what? I know that they're pretty close to what you're going to do. Where this guy here's cheaper, but truth be told, he's going to end up charging more because he's going to put all these changes in that we're going to have to pay for. You know,
Yes.
I see that all the time.
Man, that's something you really rang a lot of bells that I've been thinking about a lot personally. It's like, hey, call out the elephant in the room, say the truth, let them know that you've got, you know, you want to tell them the truth, right? You want to tell them the truth. Transparency works in this business.
It does.
Because we're looking for agreements. We've been talking about the whole time that both sides have things that they want, things that they're looking for. If you're transparent, I mean, it's just like they talk about on the dating show. So you got to have good communication to have a fit, right, Trent?
Absolutely. You got to have agreements that work for everybody, or that'll be your one and only agreement with that particular company or that vendor.
Yeah.
With the project manager, you have to have routine, regular meetings with them to go over the scope. And I can't stress it enough that if you have an ongoing project, you have to go do those job walks with that project manager to make sure that these things are happening the way you want to, according to the scope. Things are maintainable, things are accessible, and just making sure that those subs that work for that project manager know that they got to do it right the first time. Or you're going to be paying at the end, wishing you would have done things differently. You wishing you would have done those job walks. Wishing you would have looked at that drawing package a little bit closer.
Well, I know, Trent, you guys did a lot of build outs and things like that at your facility, didn't you? I mean, you had a lot of kind of project and you were pretty pleased with how that went, right?
Yeah, and there's always going to be things on any kind of large scope. I wish we would have done that differently. Wish we would have done that differently. And that's where, you know, having somebody who's been in facility management that can kind of say, hey, here's a pitfall I had. You know, if I would have known Mike 2.5 years ago, I'd have been saying, hey, Mike, what would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
And that's where having these people, having these conversations like we're having today will pay dividends.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Trent. You know, so what we envision, this has been a great time. We appreciate y'all taking the time to speak with us. But what we want is to break down those walls. You know, I don't have to worry about losing the sale because Mike doesn't live close enough to me where I can get to it, you know. But we can have these honest, transparent conversations. I think that's so important. Other facility managers learning from other facility manager, folks like Matt and myself learning from other salespeople. Then we learn from each other. And then I think it can really, having these sorts of conversations, we can learn about all the things that go into what make a facility work well. And we can also learn how to become more effective salespeople and better facility managers. So both of you guys did a great job. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
all right.
Sure. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Trent. All right, Matt. Another one in the books there.
Yep.
Did you learn anything that stands out from that conversation with Mike and Trent?
Yeah, I actually wrote some notes this time. There's two things. Tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Yep.
And
then bring solutions to the problems.
Bring solutions. Yeah. So as salespeople, when we start really listening to these folks, and sometimes we kind of dehumanize the people that we're calling on as if they're not humans just like us with things that they're going through. And we get sensitive when they don't want to talk to us, but they got other things going on. You know, they've got so many different things going on.
Your job as a salesperson, calling on facility managers, whoever it might be at these manufacturing plants, is to make your guy look good or girl.
That's right.
Make them look good. Like Mike said, hey, we could do it this way, but it might cost a little more up front, but we're going to save you a ton on the back end. He's going to look good in front of his boss, you know, especially if he can sell it, you know.
Hey, the one thing they don't want to do, they don't want to be the person that hired the wrong company. They definitely don't want that. But if they can be the person that hired the right company, well, then you've made them look good. You went in the opposite direction.
Tell the truth and no surprises, right?
No surprises. Set expectations.
Just be honest up front. If something bad's going to happen, just let them know. Even if you're unsure of something bad is going to happen. I've had to call that same plant and talk to one of Mike's bosses and say, hey, man, we are potentially running into a service issue in this time frame. You would be in downtime for an hour to, maybe 2 hours at the most. But I'm working on a solution, and I don't even think we got to that point, thank God. But stuff like that builds up rapport, relationships with other people inside the plant, not just the facility manager, because your relationship with your guy is as important as you building that tree out to other people inside the network so that they become part of the team and they can help you out when your guy might not be there. He might be on vacation. He might move to another plant. You better have more than one contact inside that plant.
That's right. Absolutely. The things that they were talking about, they said, hey, we got one point of contact. And if that point of contact goes away, then the relationship falls apart. We got to do the same going the other way. Great conversation. As a sales guy, one last comment here. Matt Johnson, they will not tell you the problem until you have a relationship with you. So you work your butt off to build a relationship first. Know, like, and trust. Call out the elephant in the room. Say the truth. And you'll get to their problems faster because they'll know that you're just not full of crap. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk HVAC next week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Matt, any final thoughts?
That's it. It's good to hear the guys talk about Skills USA and Faciliton. That's the real reason I wanted to get both of them on in the first place to talk about that.
Hey, and they don't want a cheeseburger.
They don't want your cheeseburger, Daniel. I don't know.
If they're real hungry, they might eat it, but they don't want it. Thanks again, everybody. See you next week. Let's roll.